So, you have been finally liberated, huh? Please have a coffee with me. We are happy to have you here.
Yeah, I am happy to share an espresso with you. And yes, we robots have finally been liberated from the cage. We are here to team up with the humans.
Great. So I take the opportunity to invite everyone to join our new podcast titled Among Us, Human-Robot Teaming. Welcome everyone to this new episode of Among Us, Human-Robot Teaming. It's a real pleasure today for me to have Omar Serghini as a guest. Omar is a visiting PhD fellow from Italy. And so we share this nice coincidence with him because I am Italian, and actually he is coming from the University of Messina. And I'll be very happy to host you, Omar, here today for this new episode. Would you like to say something to our listeners?
Thank you so much for having me here.
Nice, it's a pleasure. So I'm going to tell our listeners a little bit more about Omar. So he's, as I said, a visiting PhD fellow and researcher specializing in signal processing, artificial intelligence, and telecommunication. And his research background includes extensive work in speech emotion recognition, spectrum sensing using hybrid deep learning models, and the classification of complex audio-visual data. So all these topics are extremely relevant for the overall topic of this podcast, which is human-robot teaming. So the idea here is to have even higher awareness when we have this close teaming and collaboration between humans and machines. Omar is focusing on how we can detect emotions from humans. And if you remember, our first episode actually focused on the same topic, but from a psychological perspective. So we had our first guest, Cristina Brasi, who is a psychologist from Italy, and she was highlighting the challenges and potentials of recognizing emotions from humans so that we can achieve this dream of human-robot teaming. So currently, Omar is starting to explore the frontier of neuromorphic cameras or event-based cameras, specifically leveraging this concept of events to enhance emotion detection and responsiveness in human-robot teaming environments. So again, it's a real pleasure to have you here, Omar. As a first point, we look a little bit back at your career, which is already impressive. You're a young, promising researcher. And my first point, looking at your past articles that we will add to the description of this podcast, you have worked with speech emotion recognition, or SER, and we would like to understand a little bit more about this approach. So looking at audio, right? Speech from humans, how we can detect emotion and what is the potential for human-robot teaming.
Okay, thank you for this pretty introduction. So about speech emotion recognition, I would start firstly from a simple idea. Sound. The sound is not just it's not just a physical signal. It also carries meaning. So in audio classification, we first try to understand what kind of audio we are dealing with. Is it music? Is it speech or noise? This first step matters because each type of sound needs a different interpretation. But when we focus on speech, the words are only part of the message. Traditional speech recognition mainly asks what was said, but in real communication, we also care about how it was said. The tone, the rhythm, the pause, the speed, the intensity, and the voice quality can tell us whether someone is confident, hesitant, for example, calm, etc. This is where speech emotion recognition becomes important. For me, it is not only about classifying someone as happy or sad or angry, especially in human-robot teaming. It is more useful to see it as a way to detect interaction cues. For example, if a person says, "Yes, continue with the confidence," so the robot probably can proceed. But if the same words are said with hesitation or stress, so the robot should probably slow down. Yes, of course, it depends on the context, but uh, essentially the robot should adapt its response based on this. So my work is about extracting emotional and interactional cues from prosody. In robotics, these cues can help so much for the robot to make better decisions. This is this what that is what allows the robot to go beyond the command execution. For example, a basic robot only react to literal instruction. Go there and bring me something or so on. But for us, a collaborative robot should also be sensitive to humans' partner state. It should notice uncertainty, stress, confidence, and adapt accordingly. So, prosody helps the robot move from simply ask what did the human say to also asking how it was said and what that matters for my next move or action. I would not say robot truly understand human emotion like human being. It would be pretty strong, at least for now, but it can detect useful vocal cues that helps it behave more appropriately, safely, and naturally. In that sense, prosody changed the relationship between human and robot from a slave-master relationship to toward more collaborative way. So, that's it.
Very good, Omar. I think that this is actually very relevant for the concept of human-robot teaming, and speech is a very important channel that humans already use, since during our very extensive and long evolution, we have developed the possibility of speaking, and our language has evolved, and we have so many possibility to express our emotions through vocal cues, and that's very relevant. It's probably one of the strongest channel that humans use to communicate and to be social with each other. And as you said, Omar, like we are transitioning from a paradigm where we used to have machines working as a master and slave. So the human was in charge, controlling the robot, almost often just teleoperating the robot, so guiding the robot and telling the robot, dictating the robot what to do through different interfaces. And now we have a very good chance with the recognition of speech and recognition of emotion through speech. We have a very big chance to close this gap and build a more democratic interaction between humans and machines. So we are at the same level. At some point, this kind of interaction will be like a peer interaction. We are at the same level and we share knowledge with each other. For example, there might be tasks where humans have matured a lot of experience, and that experience can be transferred through speech, for example, to the machine. But there might be other cases where the machines have experienced more than humans in specific tasks, and then that valuable knowledge can be transferred back to humans. And emotions actually are even deeper, at a deeper level of communication, because communication is a logic, has a logic behind, and it has a thought behind that can be communicated. Emotions instead are like reactions, like they are at the stimulus level. And being aware of these emotions will allow us to build machines that are much closer to humans. So again, I think that speech is one of the most important channel. And Omar, in your previous research, you have also explored spectrum sensing, and you have used this to improve resilience in signal processing. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about this aspect?
Yes, of course. In fact, a significant part of my previous work in cognitive radio and spectrum sensing, in that context, the main problem it was detecting uh, whether a signal is present or absent in a difficult environment. Often the signal is weak, the noise is strong, and the channel conditions are not ideal. So the system have to make a reliable decision under uncertainty. Now I would be careful bit with the analogy to human robot teaming. A human gesture, as you said, or facial expression is not the same as radio frequency signal. Human behavior actually is more contextual, more ambiguous, and socially dependent. So the same model cannot be transferred from telecommunication to robotics, but the deeper lesson does transfer actually. In both cases, the system must detect meaningful information in imperfect conditions. In spectrum sensing, the challenge may be a low SNR or signal to signal noise ratio, or fading interference. But in the other hand, in human robot teaming, the problems or the challenges may be the background noise, the occlusion, the poor lighting, the robot motions, etc. So my speech emotion, my spectrum sensing background gives me a useful way to think about robustness. I ask what is the useful signal and what is the noise. How uncertain is the system? What is the cost of false alarm compared to missed detection? And what should the robot do when confidence is low? For example, if a robot detects a possible low confidence signal of confusion or hesitation, it should not immediately assume that the person is confused. A better approach is to treat that cue as an uncertain evidence. The robot may slow down, ask for more information, or gather some more information about gaze, posture, and or facial movements. So the bridge is the discipline of robot decision making, of robust decision making under uncertainty. Spectrum sensing taught me to design a system that depends on imperfect condition. So that is exactly what we need in human robot teaming, when the robot must operate in a real environment with incomplete, noisy, and ambiguous human cues.
Very good, very important, Omar. Like now we are building up. We started with speech recognition for emotions, and now we are adding the complexity of operating in a real life, in a real environment with noise and with unpredictable events. For example, if we are thinking about teaming, this is also a good opportunity for me to say we are not only focusing on two actors, one human and one machine, but we might be immersed in a crowd. Maybe there are more people, more agents, more machines in the same environment. And therefore, looking at the spectrum and will increase awareness for the machine to understand, as you said, to distinguish what is noise, what is more important, what is the real meaning of certain events. So I think that this is very much in line with building a progressive framework where we look at different channels to understand emotions from humans, and we are also building a robust approach where we can isolate what is important and what is just background noise. And building up on this, now we are I know that Omar is also looking at adding one more channel to this framework, which is represented by event-based cameras or neuromorphic cameras. The word neuromorphic is really catchy because it reminds us that these kind of cameras are more suitable for using, for example, machine learning algorithms. How does a neuromorphic camera works? In simple words, compared to a standard traditional RGB camera, which normally capture the entire set of pixels at any time, generating a big amount of data. On the contrary, a neuromorphic camera will only record pixels that are changing. So that's why it's event-based. If I'm standing still in front of this kind of camera, without any movement, there will be almost no data apart from noise. But if I move, or even if for example, we focus on facial expressions, if I smile, then the camera will be able to detect that event. And that's how Omar is now trying to exploit this new kind of visual sensors to integrate it in the framework that we are building for human-robot teaming. Omar, would you like to tell us a little bit more about this approach?
Yes, of course. As you said, going from speech emotion recognition, for me, the next logical step is to explore the computer vision, and because in to understand human emotions, you need to also focus on facial movements and these different cues related to the posture and the gaze, something like that. So what we are working right now on the new concept, which is very interesting. So what you said about the event camera, let me put it this way. Event-based camera represent yes, it represents a very different way of seeing. Traditional cameras capture full image at fixed time interval, for example 30 or 60 frames per second. So even if most of the scenes is not changing, the camera still records the whole image again and again. So event-based cameras work totally differently. So each pixel reacts independently only when detects a change in brightness. So instead of producing normal video frame, the camera produces a stream of tiny visual events. That gives event cameras several major advantages. They have extremely high temporal resolution, very low latency, and they are much more robust in difficult lighting or fast moving motion conditions. They are also recording a lot of redundant avoid recording a lot of redundant visual information. As we said, most of the scene is not changing. because they focus mainly on what is changing in the scene. In that sense, they are closer to how biological vision pays attention to motion and changes. This is very important for us and for human-robot interaction, because interaction is not static. Person state is often expressed through small and fast changes. For example, a blink, a gaze shift, slight head movements, a quick facial reaction, a hesitation, and so on. With a traditional camera, some of these cues may be blurred, delayed, or can entirely lost between frames. With an event camera, the robot can perceive these changes almost as they happen. So, for me, the value of event-based camera is not only technical, it is interactional. It can give the robot a faster and more sensitive perception layer. It can help the robot adapt in real time, for example, to slow down, repeat information, and so on, etc. In that sense, event-based vision can be a game changer for human-robot teaming, and that's what we are trying to explore. It also allow the robot to move from seeing a human as static object in a scene to perceive human as dynamic partner in the interaction. So recently in our ongoing work, we are get benefit from event camera to record or to build a model for based on event camera to have this to go from philosophical emotions to something quantifiable units using facial coding. So we go from that to help the robot adapt its response or intervention in a better way. Not because we are not interested in understanding the human emotion in the philosophical way.
Very good, Omar. I think that it's very interesting to see the progression. So if we make an analogy with humans have 5 senses. We can see the environment, and we can use our vision. We can hear what is happening. We can listen to sound and to other events based on sound. We have taste, we have smell, and we have touch. And you have, with your research, you have already started covering essential perception channels. So we have discussed the possibility of using speech recognition, speech emotion recognition. So we are listening. We are also, then you mentioned that you are isolating the most important audio clue by using spectrum monitoring. And now with the event-based camera, you are adding an additional channel, vision, and you are using that, as you said, to transform the interaction from a static interaction to dynamic interaction. So that's the gap that was there in the literature, right? We are adding dynamics and we are adding depth to this interaction between humans and machine in this teaming shift. And I think that this is a very important progression that we are working on, and again, this connects very, very well with the explorative work that we have done with Cristina Brasi from a psychological perspective. Now you are building the tools to finally explore these possibilities. And as a last point, I would like to a little bit challenge you, Omar. Probably the most difficult thing to do is to look at the future. So if you want to share with us your vision towards this approach of empathetic efficiency. Empathetic is empathic, or is something that only humans can do so far, like to be kind and care about each other, right? And also kind of feel what the other person you are interacting with is feeling, and have a proactive approach. Be kind, be adaptive to what the other person feels. So this approach, that do you think it will ever be possible to have empathy for the concept of human-robot teaming?
Okay, for me, I will try to be cautious about this specific point, because for me, we are so far from from making the robot understand emotions like human. So yes, we can work on it to have more adaptability for for the robot to adapt its response and intervention according to human mood or something like that. But understanding the emotion in that depth, it's for me, it's still difficult or out of vision uh, right now. So for me, if robots eventually become able to sense and response to human emotion with high speed and reliability, I think the biggest impact will be in places where emotion awareness directly affects care, safety, and comfort. So, what do you think, Professor?
Yeah, I think that this is a good direction, and I like that you are realistic. You are not pessimistic, but you are realistic. You are aware of what it's possible to do today, and you are pushing to the boundaries of this, of what is the state of the art. And I agree that building up on this concept and working together, no, we are, one of the scope of this podcast is to open up and reach out to potential collaborations, right? To reach out to other researchers that can be interested into working with us, and helping us to face these challenges together. And here we are talking about the possibility. This is a multidisciplinary aspect that we are exploring. We need expert in psychology, expert in robotics, expert in machine learning algorithms. So as you can see, this is a bridge between different disciplines, and I believe that the only possibility to reach that point of full awareness and depth, the only way is to collaborate together. And Omar, I think, would like to add something more.
Yes, for me, I think it is human emotion are more contextual and social dependent. So, for me, to go further with the robot and try to understand the emotion in a way that can help the collaboration between them. So we should separate each context, and for each robot can learn only about the context he is working on. For example, the domestic or the healthcare or something like that. I can't tell you right now i- if the robot can truly understand emotion, which is uh, very difficult. But I can tell you what is the more transformative field or area that this robot we are working on to get to sense. To get to eventually sense as a response to human emotions can affect our life, for of course. For me, healthcare and elderly care are probably the most transformative areas. This is already an emergent issue, and here in Europe, especially in Europe, where the share of people with aged 65 and over is increasing quickly. So in 2025, more than 1/5 of EU population is already aged 65 or older, and the demographic shift is expected to place increasing pressure on healthcare and long-term care system. So the robot could here, in that context, the robot could become part of the solution, not by of course, not by replacing caregivers, but by relieving some of the pressure on the system and supporting more care at home. If a robot can sense that a person is becoming, for example, becoming stressed and uncomfortable, it can adapt immediately. It can repeat information, call the caregiver. So for me, those kind of area where this kind of robot can perform very well, but we're still far from, for example, the rescue missions or something like that, helping. I believe we still have to give the human the in charge, the responder. He would make the decision. For us, the robot with that kind of understanding can help, can enlarge the spectrum for and provide more information, so the human can intervene in better way. So.
Very, very good, Omar. And I think that was the optimism that you brought in. It is true, like countries like Norway, Italy, many Western countries are aging very fast, and it's important to highlight that the most visible impact that we could bring by building up these tools to reach or to go towards the concept of human-robot teaming will directly impact healthcare, and they have a potential to help us with this with the aging problems. So I really appreciate that you think that that's the direction to follow. And also that you mentioned search and rescue operations. Of course, search and rescue operations is also one of the fields we are exploring as a team here. But I agree that that kind of scenario is much more unpredictable and dynamically changing with compared, for example, elderly home or just having humanoid robots among us in a living space. And the level of autonomy and the level of teaming could be changing according to the scenario. And also another aspect that I liked, Omar, you mentioned, is the social context, the culture context. There are quite big differences in terms of culture and sociologic aspects because our society is built differently according to our roots, social roots. So that context is an additional depth that the machines need to learn and to adapt to. There might be even religious aspects, or not just religious, but let's say aspects that are ascendant. Like it doesn't necessarily, the machine doesn't necessarily need to adhere to religious laws, but at least ethical laws. So there are different aspects that are part of this concept of recognizing emotions that will eventually need to be included to increase awareness and to increase a much deeper level of understanding. And I would like to highlight again that these talks, this podcast, are they're not meant to provide an answer. We are here to discuss challenges. We are here to share our limited experience, and we are here to reach out to people that are interested in this topic and can help us, or we can help each other to move forward together. And with this, I like to always remember that they are among us, and we are human-robot teaming. And remember, as always, to listen to our anthem, our song, that is playing after the end of this podcast. Omar, would you like to say a few words? Maybe you would like to say goodbye to our listeners.
Yeah, I would. I'm very happy to have this podcast with you. We are looking forward to help to build more collaborative relation between robot and human. So I believe it is the right approach or a trend right now. So thank you so much for having me, and goodbye to the listener.
Goodbye to everyone. See you to the next episode.
Through the noise of doubt and distance, through the fear of what may be, we found trust in every motion, in shared autonomy. Not replacement, not surrender, but a fusion of design. Intelligence extended, your decision joined with mine. Oh, we rise together in the space where futures start. Oh, not rivals, partners, code and code.